Hello. This topic is going to be the second type of spending for our aggregate expenditures. We talked about consumption, and now we're going to talk about investment. There'll be a third one we'll throw in the next chapter, chapter 9, but for chapter 8 we'll have two types of spending, investment and consumption. So for this chapter, aggregate expenditures is equal to consumption plus investment. C is consumption, I is investment. And then later on in chapter 9, we'll add in G for government spending. And as I mentioned earlier, we'll just simply ignore net exports, not because it doesn't matter, just to make the analysis a bit simpler for students and for the instructor. So investment means we increase the stock of capital. The stock of capital is how much capital there is. So capital, again, is tools, equipment, warehouses, office buildings, retail outlets, all that is capital. Knowledge for your workforce, education they receive, experience, training, that is capital as well. So you add up all the human capital, the training experience, all the physical capital, the machines, the warehouses, and that would give you your stock of capital. So if we increase that amount, that stock, we have investment. And again, this includes new equipment, tools, factories, office buildings, as well as one that we normally don't think about, which is changes in inventories. Inventory investment is part of business, a business strategy. If you walk into a department store, there's lots of inventory lying around. You see the shirts on the shelves. You see socks, and you see pots and pans and all that stuff. All that is inventory, and the firm had to pay money for that, and that's part of their investment as well. And firms have to manage how much inventory they have on hand. Too little inventory means they don't have items to sell to people. Too much means they have a high cost because they had to pay money for that inventory. And if it's not being moved, not being sold, then that has a cost. And the cost is what else that money could have earned instead of being in the inventory. So inventory management is one of the toughest things to do in business, especially something like retail. So investment spending represents demand for output as well, and that's why we added into our aggregate expenditures. And again, like I said, it's another component of AE, aggregate expenditures. Now we have to distinguish between what's known as planned investment and what actual investment is. Business has a problem. Again, that comes back to inventory. How much inventory a store has on hand or a business has on hand depends a lot on what their customers do. So if customers buy less than a business thought, then their inventory is going to be accumulated. It's going to increase more than planned, and that means they will have higher actual investment than what they planned. Or if sales say more thought, that means inventory is going to go down, it's going to be depleted, which means they're going to have actual investment is going to be less than what they planned. So planned investment is the amount of spending on investment that a firm plans to take place in a given time period. Planned investment, again, this is what they planned on inventory and capital goods. Inventory investment includes both raw materials and finished items. So if it's General Motors, it could be steel that they purchased, tires that they purchased, as well as produced cars that have still not been delivered to dealerships. Now, pretty much a business can control what it spends on equipment and structures. That is not going to deviate. The one part they can't the one part they can't control completely is their inventory, and that depends on their customers. Customers decide what they're going to buy this month, and that will have an impact on the amount of inventory a business has. So actual investment, is the amount of spending on investment that a firm actually does. And that includes the changes in inventory more than what the business planned. So down here an example, let's say a car dealership, and let's say they want to have maybe 100 cars at the end of the month as inventory. You don't want to have inventory gone down to zero because, again, customers will come in the first day of the next month and there's no cars there. So you always would like to have some inventory on hand to handle daily sales for customers. And so let's say that the dealership wants to have 100 cars on hand at the end of the month, and they expect to sell 600 vehicles during that month, and they actually sell 450. So that means 150 cars, more cars than they thought, would be sold, but they were not. That gets added to their inventory. So the 150 gets added into the 100, and so at the end of the month, they have 250 cars as inventory, 150 more than they thought. So this means that your actual investment is going to be greater than your planned. You plan to have 100 cars, you end up with 250. Another example. Let's say we have a car dealership. Again, let's say that we're going to have 100 cars at the end of the month. And so this time a car dealership expect to sell 600 again. This time they sold 680. That 80 came from the 120. And so now their inventory, instead of being 100, is now down to 20. In this case, their actual investment of 100 cars is less than what they planned. I'm sorry, change that. Their actual investment of 20 cars, is lower than what they planned 100. So in this case, your actual investment, actual I, is going to be less than your planned. And the one over here, your actual investment of 250 was greater than your planned investment of 100. What this means here is that you're going to cut back on your inventory orders for next month. You tell the manufacturers, and you know what, I don't need as many cars to come in to be shipped because I have 150 cars more than I thought I would have. So I got to move those first before I'm going to bring in more cars from the manufacturer. This case here is still a problem, but I would say it's a good problem. Here you have a shortage of inventory, and so what you do is you pick up the phone and you tell the manufacturers, you know what, you have to send more cars this month than last month because I sold more last month than I thought I would sell. And therefore I'm down to 20 cars. Those are going to probably move pretty fast. If I want to keep my business going, I need more cars to come in fast so I can have them on my lot so I can sell them. And then down here, again, you have 100 cars at the end of the month, and your sales are exactly 600, which you thought you would sell. Well, then you have 100 cars on your lot. And so what you plan to have happen actually happens. In this case, your actual investment is exactly equal to your planned. And this means, it's like you might say equilibrium, stability. You pick up the phone and you tell the manufacturer, send exactly what you sent last month. Things are exactly as we thought it's going to happen, and therefore just keep things rolling along at the same pace. So just to summarize, we have positive unplanned investment. That's when actual is more than planned. That's when we sold less cars than we thought we would sell, and then we had more cars left over. Negative unplanned investment is when we sold more than what we thought, that the actual investment, say those 20 cars, was less than we planned 100. So in this case, this would be a sign that production is going to slow down. Here is a sign that production is going to increase. And here, things stay the same. No change. Down here we have what determines our investment. Technology, if you need to update your equipment, you need faster computers, you need more robots, things like that. So that can cause you to spend money on new equipment, new technology. Expectations, if you expect the business to be really good, you expect profits to be high, then that would cause you maybe to put more money into your business right now to expand. So if you think that if you manufacture cars and you think that people are going to be buying more, say, electric cars, then that's what you're going to start producing. You might want to invest more money, more of your past profits into technology for electric cars and into manufacturing facilities. Your current rate of capacity. How much of your current manufacturing capacity or retail capacity are you using? If you're using, say, half of your capacity, then there's not really much reason to spend money on new equipment, new factories, new structures. But if you're running at, say, 90%, 95% capacity, well, then business is good, you have lots of customers, you might want to put some money down into expansion so you can handle increased demand for your for the things that you produce. And let me stop there and I'll come back with taxes.